Well, the emotional thread, there's a number of them. I suppose the big thing about it for me is that it'll be my last. So that's...
It'll be your last?
Yes.
You bow out after this series?
I will, yes.
Oh, really?
This will be the end for me.
Wow, how do you feel about that?
I feel sad. I love Doctor Who. It's a fantastic programme to work on, and it's been a huge pleasure to work with a family. Really, I mean, I can't praise the people I've worked with more highly. But I've always been somebody that did a lot of different things. I've never done one job for 3 years. This is the first time I've done this. And I feel it's sort of time for me to move on to different challenges. Hi, I'm Peter Capaldi. I play the Doctor, and you're watching EMS Productions.
Hello everybody, welcome along to today's video where I'm going to be reacting to the news. For me, the very sad news, and I know for a lot of you guys too, that Peter Capaldi is going to be leaving Doctor Who this Christmas. You just heard the radio clip of Peter announcing that he's going to be leaving, as we heard on the radio show on Monday night. Slightly bizarrely, I thought the way they did it, it seemed a very innocuous interview to start off with. I mean, it was shared a couple of times on the Doctor Who Twitter, just Peter Capaldi popping on Radio 2 for a little chat and play some songs. It seemed just fairly normal, standard, so it did seem, just normal. And then suddenly they started chucking out hints and teasers about the series. Oh, there's going to be a dark plot running through this sort of series and everything, building up to something, blah, blah, blah. Then they told us, happy days, the series starts on April the 15th. Easter Saturday, so we don't have too long to wait now, only 2.5 months. Yeah, 2.5 months. So that's a positive. And then bang, 2 minutes later, this is very important to me because it's going to be my last series. He's going to be leaving. And I was just like, no, please no, please no, please no. I was really sad about this. I've talked a lot about how much I love Peter Capaldi as the Doctor and sort of whether I thought he was going to be leaving or not. And then it was just kind of a shock to me to finally hear the news that he's actually going, particularly after all the positive sort of signs that he's made and the positive comments he's made recently about, oh, I think I'm going to be playing the Doctor for a long time, or it's my decision, blah, 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 blah. Moffat saying, I don't think I'm going to be writing Capaldi's Regeneration story. Moffat, you're a liar, what a surprise. So I was just really sad about it because he is my favourite Doctor. He's the one that that sort of brought me back to the show, really, because I've been watching it since I was 6 or 7. Back in 2005 was when I first watched the show, and I've pretty much watched it right the way through to now. But sort of over 2012, early 2013, series 7A and B, I wasn't too enthused with the show. I wasn't watching every episode. I just wasn't that bothered. And then sort of hearing the news about Peter Capaldi coming in, watching some of the thick of it and seeing all that, and then him combined with Jenna Coleman as well. Jenna sort of helped bring me back to the show as well. I just really loved her as Clara throughout her 2 and a bit series, 2.5 series, whatever you'd like to say. And so those two sort of people brought me back in love with Doctor Who almost, and then come series 8, Deep Breath and onwards, I was just completely sold on the show again, absolutely loving it again. And I just really found that Peter was my favourite Doctor. I was connecting with him the most. I always wanted to see more of him as the Doctor. He was just such an interesting sort of incarnation of the Doctor. Very different to a lot of the recent Doctors, being obviously a lot older and a fair bit more serious. And then there's been just a lot of character development as well through the series. He started off as a very dark, closed-off Doctor, where he didn't really know quite who he was, whether he was a good man or not, was the whole arc of Series 8. And just sort of seeing that follow through. There were times where he was not the most likeable character in Series 8. And maybe for the general audience, some people, that was a mistake to write it that way because people put some people off. But I felt that was just a development of his character and sort of the journey that his character went through for this 12th Doctor, which then obviously he mellowed a lot more in Series 9 with all the stupid stuff on the tank and everything. And then just gradually through Series 9, getting closer and closer to Clara and then being broken by the loss of her as well. And just naturally he's progressed and become a nicer character, I think, over the course of the 2 series he's done. But it was right to kind of start it as that darker Doctor, older, darker, he's very different kind of thing, and how Clara would get used to that. And Peter just played it all brilliantly. I've said this so many times, I think Peter is a great actor, as much as he's been a great sort of incarnation of the Doctor. I don't agree with a lot of people who say that the writing has let Peter down. yes, Peter has had some... Not all of his stories have been brilliant, but personal opinion is a big thing here. I know a lot of people don't like Moffat, which automatically is going to say, oh, it was the writing that ruined Capaldi, blah, 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 blah. But personally, I think Series 9 is brilliant. I loved all of Moffat's episodes that he wrote for Series 9, even Hellbent, guys, even Hellbent. I loved Hellbent and Heaven Sent, Magician's Apprentice, Witch of Familiar, all those ones I thought were brilliant. And so I really don't personally feel that it's been let down by the writing. I don't feel he's been let down at all. I think it's been a brilliant incarnation. I was a little bit disappointed that he's not going to be written by Chibnall, Chris Chibnall, just to see what it'd be like to have a different sort of showrunner writing for the same Doctor. That was a little bit disappointing, but overall I can't sort of understate it how much I've loved the 12th Doctor and how sad I'm going to be this Christmas, more so than any previous Doctor, to see him go. Now, in terms of Peter's decision itself, and I have seen a few The Sun articles, blah blah blah, saying he's been pushed out by the BBC because Chibnall wants a new Doctor, blah 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 blah. Personally, I don't think that's true. I know Peter has said lots of things about wanting to stay on a long time and this, that and the other, but I think it was Peter's decision. I think it was partly down to Moffat leaving, a lot of the sort of production team leaving, and probably Peter feeling comfortable with these people and just wanting to, not sort of wanting to commit to a load of new people, have to meet a load of new people and everything and just commit to all that. And I think the other big factor is just being worn out by the show, because Peter Capaldi is not 32, he is 58. He's going to be 59 by the time he does his regeneration scene, so he's not sort of really young anymore. I'm not saying he's old, but he's not really young, so he doesn't quite have necessarily the same amount of energy as Matt Smith, for example, had when he was only like 26, 27 when he started in the role. So and just some of the comments Peter's made about how it takes a massive toll on him sort of doing the show and everything, I think a lot of it is probably down to him just being tired out and sort of generally worn out from the show and just not being completely willing to commit to another year of doing that with a whole new production team as well to get used to, which is going to take a lot more effort with all that. So I think that might have been some of the reason behind it, because yeah, obviously he's a huge fan of the show, but I think there does come a point sort of where he's decided, he's felt that it's right, that he doesn't feel he can do it anymore. And I think the key quote was where he didn't sort of want to do it if he didn't feel he could give it his best, I think was one of the sort of along the lines of something he said, which very much sounded like he felt that he was not going to be able to sort of sum up enough energy. He was getting too tired out from it, not have enough energy to really give it his all and give it his best for another series. So I think that is probably the key reason why he's stepping down now, and has made that decision now, I think. But it was very clear to hear when he was doing the interview on the radio, just after he'd announced it, you could hear him getting very emotional about it. So clearly it was a very, very big decision for him. And he is very sad about having to go, but I think he just feels he can't do it for another year, would be my thoughts on this. But on the plus side of it, we've still got 13 episodes of Peter Capaldi as the Doctor, if nothing else, which I'm looking forward to. I am really optimistic about Series 10 now. I mean, there's lots of positive sort of signals and signs about it. Ice Warriors returning, even if it is a Mark Gatiss story, it's Ice Warriors, so that's going to be good. And just generally there's lots of good writers, which I'll talk about a little bit more later on actually, but there's a lot of good writers and good storylines being suggested for the series. And it will also be interesting to see how they look to do sort of the build-up to Peter Capaldi's regeneration as the 12th Doctor, because previously, ignoring the 9th Doctor because that was a separate thing because he's only done one series, so sort of take him out of the equation a bit, but looking at the last two Doctors, the 10th Doctor had 3 or 4 specials leading up to it with lots of foreshadowing about the 4 knocks and blah blah blah, you're going to die, song is ending soon, this and that and the other, through sort of 3 or 4 specials through 2009, building up to the end of time where it obviously all kicked off. And then the same sort of with Matt Smith in 2013, where you had sort of the 50th special kind of breaking up that sort of the end of Series 7, before he had his one sort of regeneration story, which personally I don't think worked too well. I would have preferred it if they'd done a bit more, either a longer special or a 2-part special to sort of round off his tenure, because it just felt a bit too crammed into an hour and everything. So it'll be fascinating to see what they do with the regeneration this time around, because we're just going to have a full series ending on the 1st of July and then a Christmas special 25th of December and nothing in between. So it'll be interesting to see how they'll end this series, Series 10, whether they'll sort of leave it on a cliffhanger, leave it as Peter Capaldi, the 12th Doctor, was about to die or be regenerating or going towards regeneration or what, or whether it will just be sort of finished and then it will just be a standalone story at Christmas where he regenerates at the end of it. I really don't know. Personally, I prefer it if we have a sort of lead-in from the end of Series 10, have it end on a massive cliffhanger where the 12th Doctor's about to die or something and he's got to get out of it, or Bill's about to die, or something like some massive cliffhanger, because we know that the 12th Doctor's going to regenerate, so you can have something about the Doctor being, or going to regenerate kind of thing. Have that as a cliffhanger at the end of Series 10, Episode 12, Stephen Moffat's sort of end of the series, have a massive cliffhanger, and then we have to wait like 5 months to wait for it. I think that would be much better than just having a sort of finishing the series, it's all back to normal, and then just a 1 hour standalone story where suddenly stuff happens and he regenerates. It will feel like there's no build up. I mean, best case scenario would really be to chuck another special in between Series 10 and Christmas to sort of maybe a part 1 or something of the last 2, have it in like October or something, and then have a little sort of a mainly standalone story but leading into the Christmas special, something like that. It's not going to happen if they haven't commissioned any more episodes, so that won't happen. That would be my ideal sort of scenario that it would, but because it's not going to happen, my ideal one would be to have a massive cliffhanger at the end of Episode 12 leading into Christmas, where we're going to say goodbye to Peter Capaldi. But who's going to replace him? Now, to be honest, I have absolutely no idea who's going to replace Peter Capaldi. There's a few sort of ideas being shouted, thrown around and everything, but a lot of it's just the same sort of ones as usual. It will be interesting for me, because me personally, I haven't really been of the right age and a big fan of the show to be able to follow sort of the development of rumours of who's going to be the new Doctor and everything, because last time, around Matt Smith, that was when I'd lost interest a bit in the show, when they were discussing who was going to be the new Doctor and everything, and the build up to Matt's last story and all that sort of stuff. And then back with David Tennant, I was sort of too young to really kind of be interested and understand following all that kind of thing, because it was done in like 2008, wasn't it? So I'd only been 10 years old, so this is the first time properly where I'm going to be following all the sort of news about who could possibly be the new Doctor and all this kind of thing. So that's going to be fun for me and interesting to follow. I mean, I wish it wasn't happening yet, and we had another series of Capaldi, but we don't, so that's life. But I really don't know who it's going to be. I mean, don't take this the wrong way, don't all abuse me, but personally, I want this Doctor to stay a man. Yes, I said it. I just feel that the Doctor's always been a man, and it just feels like it's nothing against women or anything like that, but it just feels like he's a male character. I know it's obviously because he's been it the whole time, but I just don't feel that it would be any benefit to the show to have it as a woman. It would just feel like a gimmick, or trying to be politically correct or pleasing sort of different people and this kind of thing, rather than choosing it because it's a good actress or something. It would probably just be chucking one in when the show's doing badly or something, just to try and sort of do a shot, build the viewing figures up, that kind of thing. So personally, maybe if there was the right actress, then maybe. But personally, I prefer it if it stayed a man, and that's nothing against women or anything, that's just how I feel about the subject. In terms of sort of White Doctor, Black Doctor, I wouldn't be surprised if we had a Black Doctor this time round, because I don't think that should be any that shouldn't be any sort of bar to being the Doctor in any sense. I know he's obviously been a white man every single time so far, and it would be good to change that, but I don't sort of feel they should just pick someone because of their characteristics. They should pick it because they're the best person for the job, is the key factor here. If it is a woman, okay, maybe they were the best for the job, fair enough, I'll give it a go. I'm not going to start watching this show, of course not, I'm a huge fan, but they should always go for the best person for the job, not just the one that'll fit sort of a quota of women or a gender or whatever, that kind of thing. So that would be my thoughts on it, but I don't have any really preferences at the moment as I want to say, oh, I'd love it if this person was the Doctor. I'm just I'm fairly open. The only thing I'll say is, shut up anybody who has said they want David Tennant to return as the Doctor. It's a stupid idea, it's never going to happen. You need to get over David Tennant on the stage, come on guys. It's been 7 years, he's not coming back, okay? It just annoys me when I see these comments on Facebook and whatever from people saying, oh, let's bring back David Tennant, he should become the Doctor again. No, he shouldn't, because that's not how the show works. It's a new Doctor, a new person each time. But David Tennant is not coming back to the show. Now, I know this video is going on a bit, but I thought I'd just cover a few more topics, as we had quite a bit of sort of Doctor Who news in the last week, whereas we had nothing for about a month. Suddenly it's all come out this week. I mean, the whole news with Peter Capaldi, it's interesting to see how will this affect Pearl Mackie as Bill. Will she then stay on for another series, or is she going to leave? Personally, I think she's going to leave. She's going to be a one-series companion, because I feel like if you're not carrying over the Doctor to a new showrunner and everything, and a new era of the show, it doesn't feel like it would feel like just sort of it wouldn't feel right personally to carry over the companion as well. I feel like now that Chris Chibnall is going to have a new Doctor, I think it would be best for him to just have a completely fresh start, new Doctor, new companion, new TARDIS interior, new titles, new logo, new everything. Do it like Moffat did in Series 5, now that Peter Capaldi isn't carrying over. So personally, I'm not saying there's anything against Pearl Mackie or the character Bill. We don't really know too much about her. Maybe she'll be amazing as a companion. I don't know. I'm optimistic. But personally, I just don't think it's going to work positively for the show if she is carried over to Series 11, because there's going to be a whole new feel to the show to then have sort of a Moffat-era companion being carried over. I don't think it's going to work right. I mean, maybe she was always hired with the thought of just being a one-series companion, or maybe she's going to be a bit sort of chucked out kind of thing. I don't know. I think ideally we would sort of have a plot line of Series 10 where sort of she becomes going to seal the universe and everything, she's amazed by it, and something happens at the end, she dies maybe, and then the 12th Doctor goes off in a ragey fest trying to save her. A bit like Clara, but not quite the same. Something a bit different, but that eventually results in him regenerating, trying to save Bill, or something like that. I don't know. I don't know. Moffat's a better writer than me. He'll be able to sort out a good storyline, I'm sure. But personally, I think we should just have Pearl Mackie for this series. Maybe for Christmas as well, and then leave then. Now, the other main bad news, I guess, well, it's not official news, but strong rumours, putting 2 and 2 together, sounds quite likely, is that Series 11, Chris Chibnall's first series, which is set to air in 2018, it is now looking like it's going to air in autumn 2018, around August-September time for the first episode, rather than what we originally thought was going to be spring this year for Series 10 and spring next year for Series 11. It's looking more likely that the show is not going to air until autumn next year, which is really annoying personally, because we just had a gap year, in large part to be able to get the show back to spring, and then bang, a series later we're chucking it back into the terrible autumn slot, which has been proved with 2 series that is a bad slot because it just gets moved around too late or too early. The viewing figures are terrible. It was clearly a bad idea, but it looks like it's going to happen again. The sort of reasoning behind that can be seen as Chris Chibnall is still working on Broadchurch at the moment, and bear in mind this is February. Then he's going to take a break once Broadchurch is airing, so he's not, and then going to have a look for the new Doctor, which would suggest at the very, very earliest he's likely to be casting a new Doctor around maybe May or June time. Now, to be able to get Series 11 out in spring next year, filming for Series 11 would need to start in around June this year, maybe July at the latest. So Chris Chibnall has been saying he hasn't been that focused on Doctor Who so far, trying to focus on finishing off Broadchurch, which is fair enough. I love Broadchurch. I think he should be focusing on that because that's his show kind of thing for now, but it does likely mean there's going to be a delay, just because I'm not convinced he's going to be able to get it started, filming of it all in time to be able to have a sort of show in spring. I think most likely that we're going to hear a new Doctor being announced sort of August this year, and then filming will start in January for a series airing in September 2018. I would say it's most likely. So we're probably going to have this series, Series 10, will end on the 1st of July this year. Then we'll have a Christmas special, and probably nothing again until September the following year. So it's going to be almost a gap year again. Happy days! But that's just the way it's all worked out because of Broadchurch and everything with Chris Chibnall. I don't hold it against him too much. I know. I've seen some people saying, oh, he shouldn't have taken on the job if he wasn't going to be able to come and do it, blah, 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 blah. But personally, I think clearly they were struggling to find candidates for the show. I'm optimistic that Chibnall's going to do a great job to bring the show forward into a new, fresh era, but it clearly is just going to take a little bit longer to be able to get the show going and to get his first series going, I think. So, I mean, the key sort of barometer will be, if we haven't had a Doctor announcement by June, then definitely the show is not airing in spring next year. And if filming is not started by July, we're definitely not getting a show or a series in spring next year, is the best way to look at it. And most sources are suggesting at the moment that Series 11 will not be until autumn 2018, which is a bit disappointing, really. Now, final few things to say in my roundup of Doctor Who news of the week would be the news we found out about Mark Gatiss' episode, which will involve the Ice Warriors. They are going to be returning again. Apparently there's going to be a new type of Ice Warrior as well. I've got no idea what exactly. I mean, personally, I quite enjoyed Cold War. I thought it was one of Mark Gatiss' better stories. It wasn't spectacular, it wasn't one of the best ever, but it was a good story, and I'm looking forward to seeing maybe a few more Ice Warriors this time rather than just one, which we obviously only saw last time, and maybe just keep them in the shell because they look a bit better like that rather than the silly CGI out of their shell thing. Stick with that. Obviously it's a Mark Gatiss story, so immediately everybody's going to go sigh but yes, Sleep No More wasn't very good, and quite a few of his have been a bit not great, but I think he can write a good Ice Warrior story. I'm very pleased that Peter Capaldi is going to be facing the Ice Warriors. I just like the mix of Capaldi versus Ice Warriors. I think it just fits really well to have that, so I'm looking forward to that. That apparently is going to be episode sort of 8 or 9, I believe. the episodes have been moving around a little bit, so I can sort of confirm pretty much the writers list now that we have been sort of told online and everything that's been put together. That episode 1 will be written by Stephen Moffat and called A Star in Her Eye, Pearl Mackie's Bill's introduction story. Episode 2, written by Frank Cultural Boyce of In the Forest of the Night, Happy Days. He's the one with the emoji robots. Episode 3, the Sarah Dollard one, which is the sort of 1800s set episode, and the icy one you see in the trailer with something under the Thames coming up back in the 1800s or whatever. Episode 4, written by Mike Bartlett, the guy who wrote Dr. Foster, a very popular British sort of BBC drama show, and he's very highly sort of acclaimed as a writer. And he's writing an episode which we don't really know too much about, other than there's something under the floorboards or something, I believe it was. Episode 5, written by Jamie Mathieson. Don't really know too much about it, just another one with them in some sort of space suit / sort of underwater suits, but not really quite sure what's going on there. Episode 6 is written either by Stephen Moffat or Peter Harness. It's a bit confusing with episode 6 and 7. It's either they're both written by Peter Harness and co-written by Stephen Moffat, or one is written by Stephen Moffat and one by Peter Harness. We're not quite sure, but certainly those are the two writers for those two episodes. I think it's more likely that it's going to be a co-written two-parter. Not quite sure what's happening, because I don't know where the Daleks fit in all this, and apparently there's Cybermen in it as well, but we've seen no actual sort of filming pictures or footage or anything of Cybermen, but Capaldi said we're going to see different Cybermen this season, so I'm a little bit confused as to exactly what's going on there, but we'll see with that. Then episode 8 is written by Toby Whithouse. I know nothing about the story other than it's written by him. Episode 9 is likely the Mark Gatiss story with Ice Warriors, apparently set on Mars as well, so something going to Mars with Ice Warriors. It's a bit of a throwback there, that'll be nice. And episode 10 is the one written by Rona Munro, who wrote Survival, the last classic story, the classic Who writer. She's now writing episode 10, I believe it is. It's called The Ease of Light. Nice story, nice little title there. I think that's quite a good one. So we'll see sort of how she pulls it off. I don't really know too much about what's going on in the story other than that. And then the last 2 episodes are written by Stephen Moffat. I have no idea that we have absolutely no one has any information whatsoever about what's happening in the finale this year. We know absolutely nothing about the last 2 episodes, which is good as far as I'm concerned. I want to be surprised. I want to be shocked. Like the Cyberman suddenly appear in the last episode or something, or Missy turns up out of nowhere. That's a good point. Missy's turning up. Episode 6 or 7, the ones written by Peter Harness / Stephen Moffat. She will be in at least one, if not both, of those episodes, and she is probably in the finale as well. But that is unconfirmed, I will say now. And well, that's about it for all the episodes writers we know. We know them all now. We don't know many episode titles. We don't know too many details, which is good, as I've said. I want to be surprised and sort of not know everything going into an episode. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. And of course, Stephen Moffat is writing the 2017 Christmas special as well, which will sadly be Peter Capaldi's last episode, as we all know. And well, this video's gone for quite a while now, so I think I'm going to try and sort of wrap it up a bit. I mean, it started off as just a Peter Capaldi's leaving discussion, but then it sort of stretched out a little bit to general Doctor Who news. So do let me know in the comments below. Peter Capaldi, he's leaving. Are you happy? Are you sad? Hopefully you're sad. You should be sad. But let me know your thoughts generally, whether you think it's better for the future of the show, which I have to say I think it might be better for the sort of long-term health and future of the show to have a fresh start, a fresh new era, because a lot of people hadn't warmed to Capaldi as the Doctor, so maybe this was a better decision. But do let me know your thoughts, and I'd love to have a little chat with you just in the comments below. I'll be replying to anybody's comments and anything, just have a little discussion about what we all think. And let me know anything sort of thoughts about Series 10, any of the writers I've mentioned about, the Ice Warriors coming back, anything like that. Just post your comments below and we can have a little sort of discussion, a little chat. It's always good. So that's just about it from this video, I think. Apologies, it's been 3 weeks since my last video. I'm just really busy at the moment. I've had a new job the last couple of months. It's taken up a lot of time. So I just haven't had that much time to sort of record videos anymore. I'm still going to try and get a few out, and obviously once the series starts, I'll be pumping them out a lot more. But it's just this last month, up until this week, there's been basically no Doctor Who related news of anything. So there was sort of not much to make a video about now. But now we've got some news, and hopefully Series 10, a couple of months away, new trailers, new information, lots more to talk about, and I'll try and get the videos out a little bit more consistently. And that's about it. Remember to like the video, subscribe if you're new here, and I'll hopefully see you again very soon for another video. Goodbye!